Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the ADK Rock and Metal channel, and today we're going to talk about the recent announcement of Slayer, who are coming out of retirement to play a couple of festivals. And I'm actually not wanting to raise the issue about the fact that they're coming out of retirement. It's more the case about the uproar that's actually come up about it. The fact that fans are pissed about Slayer coming back, and is it justifiable that Slayer are getting, and people are slagging off Slayer for saying, well, you did this whole retirement tour and you've come out, considering Kiss have been doing it for years, and so have Sabbath and Final Tour, and then they kind of come out again and have another tour and they're back. And so
give me some context though. When was Slayer? I mean, I don't follow Slayer anymore, but when was their farewell tour?
5 years ago, so 2019.
So they went out and say
they said that's
farewell
it.
tour, that's it.
End of
and then
day.
2024 they're back.
So, and there's been very, very clear that it was Kerry King never wanted to retire. Tom Araya was like, no, he'd had enough. Not the sense he didn't mind the whole playing live, but they were at the top of the game still. But he had no more passion for doing the whole on the road slugging it out. He wanted to spend time with his family, and obviously with the fact that you've then got sort of Gary Holt's got other projects as well, and so Paul Bostaff. Who'd obviously come back in for Dave Lombardo. So they've gone off out. Kerry King's just launched his solo project, and straight within about a week of his solo project, or 2 weeks of his solo project being announced, suddenly Slayer are being announced as headliners for a festival, or two festivals. And fans just seem to have lost their shit about this. They were like, hey, it's disgraceful, you've conned your fans. And my kind of thought was like, well, if you're a Slayer fan, you would have gone to those gigs, their farewell tour gigs, whether it was their farewell tour or not. You would have still gone to the shows, unless they paid a premium, unless they like tripled the price of the tickets because it was their final show, which I don't think they did.
I mean, it was a hell of a lineup with Obituary and Carcass on the bill, so you were really getting value for money. So those people who've seen Slayer 17 times, would they have gone for the 18th time if they were none the wiser and did not think it was going to be the last tour? Possibly not. They do have a hardcore following, don't they? I would say with this, Slayer have covered themselves because they actually, surprisingly, use that term in the industry that's often an insult and said, we are now going to be a legacy band, focusing on selling merchandise and really cementing our place within popular culture, not just heavy metal, because Slayer extend far beyond that, don't they? Especially the 1980s and the controversy with the PMRC, and they were the whipping boys, really, weren't they? And they seem to enjoy offending conservative America in the late 80s, so they've always been more than just a thrash metal band, and arguably wrote the best thrash metal album of all time, according to most people. So coming out of retirement, and I'm guessing that people are accusing them of hypocrisy, of ripping off the fans, of destroying their legacy.
There's a lot about it. There's allegations of the fact that they said it was a retirement and that they were never going to play again, so that was the whole point of that big last final tour, and now they've come out. I think there's also the big push about the fact that it's well documented that the guys in Slayer don't get on with each other. So why would you come back together as a band unless it's purely for money? Now, Tom has said that he wanted it because he actually missed playing live. Was one of the reasons. So he's had that time off, but he's now got that itching again. But the whole idea of being in a band is that you get on. Ideally, you get on with each other. Now, it doesn't always work that way, and you will have some personality fallouts. But generally, when you hear the amount of hatred that comes out, like the fact that Kerry King was saying that he hadn't even spoken to Tom, and his only thing he could say was that he was glad he's not dead. I mean, that's the most positive thing you can really say in one of his interviews.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like the most
context.
Famous example of that is Aerosmith, isn't it? The Toxic Twins, Joe Perry and Steven Tyler, who just, I didn't realise actually seem to hate each other. Have never got on. It's like, well, they're the face of the band. With Slayer, I don't think it's hypocrisy. I think you should always be open to reversing a decision like that. But if you're saying the dynamic is that there's so much antipathy amongst the two founding members that are left, obviously, because we know Lombardo would never be joining this, would he? How many festivals is it? 2?
Just 2 at this point.
I mean, it's not easy.
I mean, they have said that they're not planning to do touring.
Yeah.
and we know that they will not be albums, and the fact that Kerry King is planning to be touring with his own band, this is going to be like the odd festival here and there. Personally, which I have no issue with that. I actually, personally, when Slayer said that they were retiring back in 2019, I remember talking about it back then and saying, it's good, they've made a decision, they wanted to go out when they chose when they wanted to retire, rather than just drag it out. But it gives them the option to come back and do the odd festival date when they want to, and that would be the right call to do if that's what they want to do. Just come out and do those, because then, in a way, they are still retired. They're just coming off and doing the odd show. They're not coming back as a full band, i.e., recording, touring, and going through that vicious cycle. They're coming back and going, we're going to do some showcases.
Well, I mean, my view on this is, I think this is not setting a precedent, but I think it's what you've got to expect now from when a band such as Slayer, who've got this established career, when they say this is our final tour, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt and thinking, well, yeah, it could well be, but in 5 years' time, they might get together for a reunion tour. I mean, we could be sat here all morning talking about bands that have done it.
Yeah.
While you were chatting, what came to mind was the band Stained. I know they're nowhere near in the extreme music realm, but I think they released a self-titled album in 2011. They might have done a few shows in subsequent years, but they didn't retire or disband or split up. They just didn't work together because there were internal frictions between some of the band members. Guitarist Mike Mushrock, I think his name, something like that, and Aaron Lewis. But they've got together for a new album last year. I think it covered one of the singles on the channel. And, you know, there's so many elements as to why they would do that. It may be monetary gain, not always the case for some of the bands that have created such a career that they perhaps don't need any more money. But it may well be like you said about Tom Ray, just wanting to do it again, even though they've decided that is it. So, you know, I'm thinking the bands like, you know, Iron Maiden, they're still plugging away. They've not retired, but they may well come up with a farewell tour, and then in 5 years' time they might do another one.
Yeah, because
nobody be Slate Nine Lane for doing that.
Yeah,
and people won't say, "Oh, I went to the farewell tour and I paid £500 for a ticket." You know, the fact that they're going to do it again, you're going to be pleased. You're going to be angry.
I also think that it makes sound financial sense from the band Slayer, in the sense that going out on a tour, you've got to sort out your entire backstage, your rigging, the lot. You've got to do transportation costs. Yeah. You do a festival, you get a bumper payday for headlining it. The rigging is already there, so all you've got is your backdrop and any visuals that you want to plan, and you've got to rehearse a few times beforehand, and that's it, one gig.
Yeah.
Done. And and then you go, right, well, I'll have my whatever the thousands of pounds I need for that. Right, we'll do a couple of festivals a year. I've already paid off my house with all my Slayer money, although Slayer were notorious for knowing that they actually got some of the worst deals going out there in the Big Four.
Yeah.
They were not financially the most acute people out there, let's put it that way. Their management team fucks them over completely.
I mean, if you think about it, it's not, how do you, if they'd have said, okay, we're going to be a legacy band, we're retiring, but we're going to be open to offers to do one-off festivals in the future. Nobody says that, do they? You just say we've retired. I mean, most bands get back together. The Dillinger Escape Plan split up in 2017, and then they've now reformed. They've now reformed the original lineup. One last thing with Slayer, I think we need to admit, this is a band that's been on a steady decline ever since 1994's Divine Intervention. And you know what? There's no shame in that. It happens to most bands. You think of all the great bands you love.
God Hates the Sun.
It's not a great album, that, is it? Come on. Track number 1's excellent, but you wouldn't say that's a classic Slayer album. Take all your favourite bands, even Nine Inch Nails. I've been going through their discography, and in the 90s they were untouchable. Everything you've done after then is good. There's nothing that's crap that you're just thinking, there's nothing of greatness in this anymore. But please continue releasing music. But it is a steady decline.
Yeah, I mean, that's another discussion, isn't it? We could have another day.
Yeah. Has any band ever sustained it for longer than 20 years where they're constantly putting out
is there like a peak?
Material?
Is there like a peak in the output, and then there's a slow decline of, as you say, good albums, but not terrible albums, but then nothing that matches there.
The problem you've got there is it's subjective, though.
Of course, yeah.
Because if you want the albums to sound all the same, then you after 20 years, the first and the last album sound almost identical, you're like, fucking brilliant, love this, great band, consistent.
My Dying Bride are probably like that, don't they?
But
Literally,
if
both
you
from-
want
Yeah.
a band that moves with the times and you see growth effectively, then you're going to say there's a decline in the music. But others would go, actually, do you know what? This is actually really good because I can go to this album for this vibe and go to this album for another vibe.
Yeah.
So it really does become,
Trends as well.
it becomes subjective. But then you've got bands like Metallica who've got things like Set Anger, which was a part of dog shit. Although musically there is actually some really interesting songs on it,
Yeah.
but it's just mixed in awfully.
No guitar solos, damn tuned. They're playing
So I've probably got that
proto
album.
sludge riffs.
I've heard a couple of songs.
You probably
Yeah.
would have.
Yeah.
If you hear the guy that remixed it and redid it, it's actually quite good.
Or has he changed the drums there?
Oh, he re-recorded it all. He even does the voice of James Hetfield. Very good. But okay, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Let us know what you think about the Slayer coming back from retirement. Are you for it, against it? And let us know your opinions in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.